This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So, Matt, you were recently talking to me about this report that came out about the top 50 metros in the country.
Yeah.
About like the most desirable to the least desirable.
Exactly.
And Sacramento was ranked
like 37. A lot
Yeah.
of cities in California were ranked at the bottom. Not great as far as real estate in California, where usually historically done pretty well. Housing prices high, demand high. But
Yep.
now they're looking at Midwestern towns like Buffalo, New York.
Buffalo, New York,
is
yep.
at the top of the list. So why do you think that is?
Well, I would push back on that. I don't know. A lot of people.
So you don't agree with the research. You're skeptical.
Well,
of it.
as the great American philosopher Mark Twain said, there's lies, bold-faced lies, and then there's statistics.
Right. Okay.
So, if you're going based off the statistics, I don't necessarily agree with that, but I could see why Sacramento would rank 37th, 38th on that list.
Okay.
But I will say, I think it was the highest ranking metro in all of California. So
Sacramento?
I think it was. And the reason why is because there's still there's great schools, great standard of living here, and it's still relatively affordable. Like if you're trying to get a house, the same house you get in the Sacramento region down in San Diego, it's going to be way more expensive.
Right.
Right? Or
comparatively
in the Bay Area.
California. So if we're just talking about within our state, then Sacramento gives you the best bang for your buck.
Correct. And it still has good schools, hospitals, decent airport. Like in Coalinga, you can get way more for your, where I'm from.
Right.
Or in Fresno, you can get way more for the bang for your buck. But it's not exactly as desirable of a place.
Would you say there's up and coming areas, though, in California that can compete with Sacramento as far as what you can get for your dollar? That have all those amenities, that have good, infrastructure, schools, have a good economy, maybe technology, but are somewhat affordable?
I don't know. I mean, the
because
places...
Sacramento seems like it seems like to me it's past its peak.
Really?
I would say because it's just gotten so big now.
I think
you've had so much influx of Bay Area people because the Bay Area was so darn unaffordable. It is. It still is. And so you've got all those people that want to get more for their dollar. So now they've inflated Sacramento.
I think it's just now actually catching traction. Like I think
what is catching traction?
The Sacramento market. I think it's.
You think so?
I think it's just going to go up from here. Absolutely. I think what happened was it was kind of like a small cow town, like Roseville. There were no houses out there. Folsom, very small.
Did you hear the latest though? We don't even have a zoo in this town. The Sacramento Zoo was supposed to planning to move to Elk Grove. They nixed that. They said, "Oh, there's not enough land. It's going to cost too much." So now we've got like a really, really mediocre zoo. So what's that say about our town? We have a sports team that's not competitive. It's a disastrous sports team. So I don't know. I'm just curious. I think
it's on the up and up.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. The amount of building, the amount of infrastructure, the amount of people that are choosing to live here versus in the Bay Area, I think it's become, as it starts growing, it's going to hit this critical mass where I think it's just going to really explode.
But I guess it depends on what you want, because like even the downtown arena that we had, there was a lot of naysayers. A lot of people said, no, we don't want our town to grow. We like it the way it is. We like it the size it is. You had people who are like who think we should be a Placerville or an Auburn, right? Yeah. They just like the town the way it is. They don't want to grow. They don't look what's happened. Crime and homelessness have been on the rise. And so they look at all of those things that make a great town, right? All the great things.
There's some big cities.
There's some drawbacks too to a big city that we've started to see. And so I'm just curious if there's other up and coming places, because like for instance, Roseville wasn't always what it has been. Yeah. I remember in 1997, a friend of mine said, "Hey, we're going to invest in Roseville. We hear that's going to be the #1 growing city in California." And this was in 1997. And they moved, and I don't remember what the population was, but it just skyrocketed, obviously, to this is before the Galleria. This is before Sun City out there. This was, This was decades ago. And so I'm just curious from your perspective, like, do you think maybe there's another area? I mean, I guess you would call the Yuba City, Marysville area part of the greater Sacramento area. Would you say that is?
Yep.
'Cause we've seen a lot of growth there.
Yep.
But is there
Lincoln.
another area in Sacramento, maybe in closer to the Oregon border, or I don't know. There's a lot of people who don't like Sacramento anymore, but would like to stay in California. Is there other areas that are more desirable? Bakersfield? I don't know.
So-
I don't think
so-
people want to be.
So the problem that people run into, and I'm speaking from firsthand knowledge, is if you want the small town, if you don't want the big town environment, but you also want some of the big town amenities, you want to have to drive an hour and a half to go to the doctor, right? And so that's kind of where I grew up, and that's the environment I grew up in, and some people just don't want that. As far as upcoming counties, I do think Bakersfield has some potential there. It's been traditionally an oil town.
Yeah.
I think Bakersfield's big because it's really close. You're just over the Grapevine, and then all of a sudden you're in Southern California, right? So and you're not far from the coast either. So Bakersfield, I see a lot of people moving to Redding. Like from personal experience, a lot of people are leaving here.
It's pretty hot up there, but still.
And moving to Redding. Yeah, so Redding is probably an
More
up-and-comer.
conservative area too, right?
Yep, traditionally. Yep.
Yeah.
And so those are two places. I used to hear people moving to Fresno, but not so much now.
No.
Modesto, people are leaving Modesto.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
unless it's like the outskirts, like Ripon.
Yeah.
Because you can live in Ripon, and if you're like in law enforcement, you're still close enough to be able to work in the Bay, and so you can live in Ripon and work in the Bay, and so it's more affordable for you. So there's communities like that, but as far as like a true front runner, I really think Sacramento is the next up and coming metro in California.
Huh.
I firmly
Interesting.
believe that, and in fact, it's not just me. Like,
Because that's not what this report's saying.
well,
I mean, you're right. It is top of the list when it comes to California cities. At one point, San Jose was that city, right? San Jose was just, oh my goodness, just crazy.
yeah.
And so Sacramento, I just feel like because I've been in the area for so long, I've seen where it started and where it's come from.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you to say there's still more growth and it's just
Well, look
getting
at all the
started,
houses that are
to me is a little bit scary.
Look at all the houses that are being built.
Yeah.
There's still tens of thousands of homes
Can our
being built.
infrastructure handle more growth though?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Yeah.
Look at 65 though. Are you kidding me? That thing is a bottleneck no matter what day or what time
know.
of
65
the
is
day.
rough.
It's a disaster.
I wish they would have. I think it was
If you're
back
going to
in
have
the-
more growth in the Roseville, Placer County area, what are you going to do? How is that 65 going to support all of that?
I think there's plans where they can widen it.
They better get on it right now. You can't. You got to build the roads before you build the houses.
I wish back in, I think it was the late 70s, there was a plan to take the 65 all the way to the 50, and they didn't go through with it. And that really bottlenecked the growth, I think, of the area. Because can you imagine living in Lincoln and working in Folsom?
Yeah, I think the infrastructure in Sacramento, at least the freeway system, is going to be a challenge.
Yep, that's a challenge. But there's talk that Lincoln could be bigger than Roseville someday.
But they're almost merged together. Roseville, Rockland. I mean, I don't know if I'm in Roseville, Lincoln, or Rockland. It all just merges together. And then you have, is it West Roseville? West Roseville doesn't even seem like Roseville. It seems like West Roseville should just be its own incorporated city.
But this is all that growth, right? This is all that
Yeah,
growth we're
it's
talking
crazy.
about. And even since I moved here in 2018, I've seen a tremendous amount of growth.
Yeah.
And so I think with that growth brings more jobs, brings more people, brings more opportunity. Does it bring negative things? Yes, but I'm very bullish on the Sacramento market. That's why Valor and I moved here. Out of all 50 states, out of all the metros we visited, we like this place the best.
You know where I could see growth happening is 80 to like Vacaville, Fairfield area, Dixon. So
Yep.
like Dixon, I could see a lot of growth happening in Dixon. Not too far from Sacramento, but still a lot of room for growth.
Yep.
They're starting to build more out there.
Yeah, they are.
There's where I could see more development happening.
Yeah. So I mean, there's plenty of land. It's just we need people to
Yeah,
live
but
there.
why do you think Buffalo, New York, on this? So why would you say this list?
It sounds
why
like this
is
list was ranked off of affordability. It
Yeah.
sounds like it was ranked off of. So affordability mixed with job opportunities or like
Yes.
the average income.
Right.
It's probably what it was done based on. And so You can get an affordable house and have a decent paying job in Buffalo, New York.
But not in Sacramento or California cities.
Apparently, according to their metrics, 38, I think is what it was. But compare that with a report done by Redfin. I saw this on Ryan Lundquist, the Sacramento appraisal. Like this dude's like I love his stuff.
I do too. I've read some of his stuff.
Follow
He's really
Sacramento Appraiser, Sac Appraiser on Instagram. He has a Sacramento Appraisal blog. It's so good. But Redfin recently came out with the top 10 areas people are moving to, and guess what city topped the list?
In California or throughout the nation?
Nationally.
Throughout the nation, top of the Redfin list is where?
We'll tell you after we come back after the break.
You go to the grocery store these days and you hardly ever talk to a real person. Everything's self-checkout and you're on your way. You call up customer service for a business and it's all automated responses. Sometimes you want to talk to a real live person. You want that engagement, especially when it comes to one of the biggest transactions of your life, selling your home. And that's why we love Johnny Jennings and his amazing team at Made for More Realty. It's not just us that love them. You know what? They have so many 5-star Google reviews. In fact, over 1,000 of them that you can go check out right now. So if you're curious how you can get at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition, reach out to Johnny Jennings and his amazing team at Made for More Realty and get more for your home.